Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Child rights NGO Challenging Heights says Ghana is risks losing more than $600 million, as well as some other benefit from the American government should government fail to address the issue of human trafficking. They say that despite Ghana maintaining against all odds, there are two watch lists standing on the trafficking in persons. Government does not fully comply with the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking and not making any significant efforts to do so. President of Challenging Heights, James Kofi Annan, joins me in the studio for a very quick chat. Sir, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We understand that recently you just rescued some children. To tell us briefly about that.
Well, Challenging Heights, we set up a 5-year strategic plan, and our aim is to rescue 700 children in the next 5 years. So we began this year by rescuing 18 children. We know that we have to do 150 children every year. So we did 18 children, and then we did 17 in March. So we are doing a lot and counting towards achieving our goals in the strategic plan.
The Ministry of Children, Women and children has been talking a lot about the steps that they're taking and the interventions that they put in place to stop this practice from happening. How well have you collaborated with the ministry to ensure that you achieve the 700 children target that you're looking at?
Yes, I mean, we do a lot of collaboration with the Ministry of Gender. Unfortunately, they've not taken a lot of actions. We have the Human Trafficking Secretariat that is woefully under-resourced. The Human Trafficking Board is virtually non-functional. The Human Trafficking Fund has no money in it. So our lack, what we have been lucky with, and that's helped us to escape being put in on tier 3 this year, has been because in March this year the government conveyed a workshop that created a 5-year plan, which I'm sure was inspired by our 5-year strategic plan, and that is what we are happy about. And we collaborated with the ministry, just like other civil society organizations, to create that strategic plan. So yeah, the ministry is on board with us. We are also on board with them. They do inspect our shelter rehabilitation centers, and they give us the support. I wish that the ministry itself will have more support, and that's why we are calling that the government should set up Ghana Human Trafficking Commission and bring all these aspects from Human Trafficking Secretariat to the Child Labor Unit of the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, and all the ally organizations that are under government that is working towards elimination of child labor and child trafficking. Bring all of them together under Ghana Human Trafficking Commission, chaired by the president, like we did for the Ghana AIDS Commission, so that more resources can go there, and there will be coordination towards the addressing of human trafficking. Otherwise, I'm afraid next year we are likely to drop to tier 3. And once we get there, we are about to lose over $600 million in aid.
A lot of people, or some people will ask you why the U.S. targets should be our focus. Why should we focus on someone else's rating of us rather than just focusing on getting our children off the streets? If we didn't have a target, the U.S. target, and what we may lose or gain, what would be the motivation to get children trafficking, to stop child trafficking and child labor, like you say?
Well, I am happy that the U.S. is the focus because, you see, without the U.S., I'm sure we will not do anything. But it's not only the U.S. that's fighting against human trafficking. It's just because U.S. is doing this global rankings, and it ranks every country. But remember that we also have the index, the slavery index that comes out every year. And this year when it came out, it said that Ghana has over 100,000 modern-day slave victims. Wow. So there are a lot that needs to be done. But as a country, like we need to be pushed to do something. And I am happy that at least somebody is pushing us to do the things that we have to do.
Without being pushed.
That's
quite sad, isn't it? Of
course, you go to the street and see these children selling. Do we have to be pushed to do something about them? No.
What has been the main challenge getting these children off the street and stopping child trafficking and child labor? What has been the main challenge?
Well, for me as a person, the most disheartening point of my work has been government attitude, lack of action. So you do all this work. We have rescued over 1,600 children in the last 12 years. Government has not rescued even 10. So that is very disheartening to see that the work that the government needs to do, you are rather doing it, and they are not even appreciating supporting you. You go for a child from as a victim, you bring that child. You just need the one who sold the child to be prosecuted. Just imagine your child of 6 years being sold for 50 Ghana cedis. You need to prosecute the person who did that in order to serve as deterrent to others.
But that is not being done.
That is not being done. They will ask you to come with the evidence. You bring the evidence, and you have to pay the police who is going to the court. It's transportation before you get to the court. If you fail to pay the next one, you won't go. So we also focus on the work we are doing of rescuing. We can't be paying legal fees. We can't be paying for transportations for police. So
you've stopped following up on prosecution of people who flout the law, but by selling off their children. What you're doing now is just to rescue them, because obviously it's frustrating.
Very frustrating. We want to continue pursuing prosecution. But when you feel that your effort is not yielding fruit, you better look at the protection of the children, and then probably look at those who will come on board and then cooperate with them.
I see. Going forward, what usually happens to the children that you rescue? What's the future for them?
Well, we have our own rehabilitation center that we bring these children in, and we create a platform for them for about 9 months. We counsel them, we give them medical care. I mean, I can send you some pictures. You cry. These are children whose back look like real slaves who have been tortured and cut into pieces. And we rehabilitate them, send them to school, and we see them through their education. We have some of them who have finished secondary schools at the moment, and even universities.
Okay. What will be your final words? Now that obviously you're calling on government to put something together that's akin to the National AIDS Commission, so that there will be more resources and there will be more attention. But apart from that, what else would you like to tell government, or what will be your final words?
Well, what I would say is that government should look at this report critically and see where we have escaped from, and then plug the loopholes, make sure that they invest resources, they invest time, pay more attention to the issue of human trafficking, and it will be well with us.
And we'll stand to benefit rather than lose. What was the amount again?
Yeah, if we invest, for example, 20 million cedis in the issue of human trafficking, we stand to benefit 600 million. 600 million?
Yes. Sounds like a treat, which shouldn't be for children, by the way.
I mean, of course.
But from the way you describe it, that's our best option.
That's our best option. Just invest so that you don't lose that money.
I see. It's rather sad. I find it really challenging to have it settled in my mind. But thank you very much for coming through, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing for children. James Kofi Annan. Are you related to Kofi Annan?
No, I am not.
James Kofi Annan is president of Challenging Heights. It's an NGO, and they're looking to rescue children from trafficking, and of course those who are into child labor. Interesting conversation we've had. Well, away from that, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says crime rate in the country has reduced by more than 70% comparing the first 6 months of 2017 and 2016. He says there is a fear syndrome that has been hanging over the country, which they're trying to remove. He's speaking after briefing Parliament on efforts to provide police stations to all parts of the country. Mr. Derry assured the security that agencies are doing all they can to keep the country safe.
In the first 6 months, if you look at the statistics from the various security institutions, there's far less crime than preceding years. That notwithstanding, we are convinced that we still have a challenge, and the challenge is that to translate to the minds of people that we are safer now than we were in the past. And some of the things we need to do would be to provide more police, provide more police stations, make greater use of police visibility. We're also working towards community policing, where we make sure that every electoral area has at least 6 officers there. And all this will work together to create that more secure environment.
But for the ordinary person, it may be difficult reconciling the thinking that crime statistics show that crime rate is decreasing with what some see is an increasing case of these mob actions and gunshots and people dying, and then believing in that really the statistics indicate that things are going down in terms of the level of crime.
That's precisely why I said that in spite of that, we are not to stop at the statistics. We have to continue and begin to work on people's mindsets to connect that, to appreciate that. If the statistics exist, but people are not convinced, we haven't achieved. After all, we didn't promise that we were going to give statistics. So what do? It is with a lot of education. What are you saying? Look, if somebody is robbed today, he's not impressed that robberies have reduced. As far as he's concerned, he's robbed today. And I concede that. But what I'm saying is that the truth of the matter is that we are taking action. For instance, many of you always come out. And how about vigilante groups? We find our vigilante groups have been fined in one offense and have been tried in another. Look in your history, has ever happened? That's progress. And we need to move forward and make sure we do more.